Hello and welcome to this YourPMO training video. This is session 2 of the training program, and we're going to be looking at menus, help and general navigation. So when we first come into the project and we're in select project, where we left off at the end of the last session, we can choose our project from the list here. And we can also then do some navigation. Now we currently have a project selected. It tells us up here we're in example project, which is why the sidebar is showing for this project. And in fact, if I open that out or hide the navigation away, we can see the full navigation for the currently selected project, example project. Now if I was to go away from my current selection, for example by checking into the portfolios area, now I have no project selected, therefore I get no sidebar, therefore I can choose my new project. I could have jumped straight from one project to another, but we can be in this mode where we have no project selected. When that's the case, the menu that we saw in the last session is very short. Let's just look at that again. Pretty small because there isn't much we can do that's not associated directly with the project. So when I come back and actually select a project there, and I'm going to choose the Malks project this time, you see we now get the navigation for that project, and the menu has now changed as well. So menu, when I come back here, allows me to do everything that my license and permissions and the current circumstances of my selections will allow. So I've now got a whole load of things I can do about the current project. Creating projects, which we could do before actually, managing stages, summary information, reporting, searching, etc. around this project. There are other things I can do around analysis now because I have a project, like the controls analysis, and more reporting I can do, etc. So it's picked all those things up, and in the menu here you can always do everything that your license and permission allows you to do for the current situation. Now what we put on the navigation diagram, and you'll see, although I've come to the menu here, I'm still in Malks project. When I come back to my navigation diagram, we see the things that we think are most likely to be used commonly by people working on a project. So we're not talking about creating projects here, things of that type. We're talking about working on a project, and it's not everything that we might do in terms of working on a project, but it's the most commonly used things. So for example, clicking into these areas here, we're going to get Explorer and documentation for the project depending on the process we've clicked into. And you'll see when we activate an area, because the browser doesn't give us a lot of space for laying lots of things out, when we activate a particular area, we go back to a sidebar menu for the project. So you can still do things. So I could jump process to process step 2, which is deliver, and I can jump back to 1, which is start, from the sidebar, and I can access reporting and the discussions area from here as well. But if I want to go back to navigation, I'm going to go back to the full screen navigation like that. You'll see I can open and hide it away, slide it in and out as required. So that's navigating to Explorer. The next video we're going to go through Explorer in much more detail. We can also access live review from over here, which is showing me the latest plans, risks, issues, resources. So if I come to here, I'll see the plan for the project from the database. I haven't had to go and find the file and view it in the file. Show me the data from the database. So pointing and clicking is a really useful, neat way of being able to navigate. The methods are laid out in quite a logical way, so that once you're familiar with one, the rest should follow on quite easily. Some more significantly than others. So our in-house methods, the end-step methods, all have this type of navigation where you've got functionality as well. Some of the other methods are just process, in which case you'll access the functionality by coming up to the menu here and accessing the particular bits that you want. Same sort of thing for reporting. We can click in a reporting area or updating info and go and update the info. What you see on the box should be what you get when you click on the item. Okay, so that's navigation by point and click. The last thing we want to talk about in this session was menus. Help from the menu. So if I click on help up here in the top menu, it's going to give me help on whatever is currently selected. So we're in navigation. Got the navigation diagram up, so it's telling me about the navigation diagrams and sidebars and what I get when I click and what I get in different modes as well. So I'm going to show you slightly different mode in a second. But if we go to a different area, for example risks here and click on help, we'll get help come up for risks. So it's context sensitive, the help that we get. Once we're in the help file here, we can navigate off to other items. We can follow the links which might take us to other items if there are links in the article. And we can also use search to go off and find other things as well. But the really neat thing is being able to just get help straight up for the page you're currently looking at. Right, so the other thing I wanted to explain was about browser layout. So we've got a browser layout here which is typical for a laptop or desktop. It's a landscape arrangement. It's quite a big space, so it's giving us a full screen arrangement. If I go to a smaller browser arrangement like this, you see it's just changed over. This is a portrait type arrangement like we might use on a smartphone, and therefore it's got the panes and sections down the page. Here, so where width is very important to us, the sidebar isn't very useful actually. In fact, it's a hindrance because it takes up space. So here we've gone to the full menu, but at the top of the page in smaller format. So you can still jump around. I can change processes here. I could go off and click on discussions, and we've got discussions up. I could go off and look at risks, and I'll get the risk information up in the same way as we did before, but just adjusted for the size of page. So you can still navigate when you're in that small form, but you'll be doing it from the full diagram. If we go back to the big one, you'll see it's dropped us back into a sidebar again. So that's navigation. We're going to navigate when we're in a project mostly from the diagram with a bit of menu thrown in. Menu is always going to give us everything if we need it, and help is the first place to turn if we're really not quite sure what it is that we're doing next. Okay, I hope you found that helpful. That was video 2. Video 3 is going to be on working in the Explorer. Thank you.